Hi guys, this video what I'm going to do, just going to talk a little bit and give a little bit of a review on the rod that I've been using the most recently, which is the Sonik SKS Black. Now, there's been a lot of talk about these rods, about them snapping through nothing more than casting, basically. I'll have to admit, I've seen them snap. Just through overhead thumps, and I've seen the tip section snap. Now, I've never liked Sonics. I've never been a big fan of them, to be fair. But what I thought I'd do, I thought I'm going to give myself a more informed opinion. So I went out and bought one. I went down to the local tackle shop, which was Fishing Republic. I spoke to Tony Watson down there, and I said, if it snaps, do I get my money back? And he said, yeah, but you're not going to snap it. If you do, bring it back, I'll swap it, or I'll give you your money back, take your pick. So that was like 3 months ago, and I've pretty much been using this rod for everything. I've used it for flatty bashing, I've used it for fishing for bass, I've used it on beaches, I've used it in estuaries, I've used it on rough ground, some extremely rough ground. And it's not snapped. This is the 14-foot version. It's 5 to 7 ounce, and I've cast 7 ounce with it, and I've never had any issues with it. Talk a little bit about the advantages, the pros. The weight. It's physically, it's quite a light rod. The bite detection is outstanding, in all fairness. I mean, I've recently swapped from using multipliers to fix pulls through a wrist injury that I've got. So I've been using my pen, my Battle LC. I'm using braid on it. So obviously with braid, the bite detection is going to be slightly better. This rod's actually run for a multiplier. What I've done, I have the reel quite low down, and when I'm casting it, when I'm reeling in, it puts a lot of pressure with the multiplier. It puts a lot of pressure on my wrist. So I put the casting cannon on it, started using the fixed spool, and even though it's run for a multi, still works fine. The eyes on it. Now, I'm going to go a bit negative here. The eyes aren't the best. It's a cheap rod, so they're not the best. But speaking of cheapness, that's definitely a pro. The rods retail at about 80 quid. I got this in the Black Friday sale. I think it's cost me 70. I think it was. I can't quite remember. I think it was 70 quid. It wasn't a lot. So for 70 quid, I'm not going to complain too much. I've dropped this rod twice, and it smashed the tip eye, and it smashed, I think it was the 3rd or 4th eye down. I've replaced them. The rod's still going fine. The usability, as I said, I've used this rod for loads of different types of fishing over loads of different grounds, and it's performed flawlessly. It genuinely has. I'm not just saying it, but it is a brilliant all-round rod. I wouldn't suggest it's a rough ground rod, because it's not. I mean, I use this up at the Knacker Hole up at Beadnell, which, any of you know it's an extremely rough ground. Mark, me and Simon Connell were up there, and him as my witness, the rod performed flawlessly. Pretty much the only other negative I can pick up on it is specific to this actual rod. There's not much spigot on it. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a line just there. Just there. It's about a thumb width of my thumb out. It's not much spigot. But I know friends that have bought these rods in the bottom, you know, on my recommendation, and they've got quite a bit more. So I think it is specific to this rod. There's been a lot of issues, a lot of comments, especially in the northeast, of these rods snapping. Now, again, I'll hold my hands up. I've seen these rods snap. One of them had only been used a couple of times. It was second or third time out. It was an overhead thump. It wasn't anything more. It wasn't pendulum casting or anything, and the tip snaps about 3 foot down. That's probably, if I'm honest, it's probably the reason why I'm not like Sonics. Now, I'm gonna stick my neck out on the line a bit here, and I do think that any issues Sonic have had with these rods snapping, I think have been resolved, if I'm honest, because I've tried my hardest to snap this rod. I've abused it. I mean, it's like I said, it's been dropped twice, which wasn't intentional. It blew off the tripod, but I wasn't that bothered because I was kind of thinking, well, I want to prove a point here that Sonics are crap, basically. And if I'm honest, I can't say that. You know, this rod has pretty much changed my opinion, certainly of these rods anyway. Again, I'm going to throw it out there, and I'm going to get slated for this, and I am. But I think that a lot of the rods that have been snapping have been down to user error. Now, knowingly or not for me to say, but I do think they've been bashed at some point. Whether knowingly or not, I think they've either been bashed in the shed, the car, bashed on the railings, and whoever's been using them's not realised. What'll happen is it'll develop hairline fractures in the carbon. When you start casting out, and you start casting 6 ounce out, plus bait, you know, you're talking 7-8 ounce in some cases. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressures going through this rod. So it stands to reason that it's, you know, a hairline fracture. You weigh, you know, welling a weight out, it's going to snap. But the other thing to look at is these rods are cheap. They are cheap. They're very cheap for what they are. And for every, say, one, well, we'll use Sentry, Ziplex, any of the big makes. For every one of those one of their rods that's sold, there's probably 70, 80 of these sold. It's a percentage game. The more of these that are sold, the more likely there is, you know, it is to snap, because you're going to get the odd one that might have been bashed in the factory or something. Not that I'm making excuses for anything, it's just my opinion. Now, I'm pretty sure when Sentry first came out, they had issues with them snapping. I might be wrong, don't think I am though. But I'm digressing. I think, for the money, it's a very, very good rod. It's a very capable rod, and it's got great all-round usability. So much so that my regular rod that I normally use, which is a Any Fish Anywhere 6 and bait, is now pretty much redundant because I'm using this all the time. I think the real test for this rod is going to be when, later on in the year, I'm planning a trip over to the west coast, again over to the Mull, where I'll be targeting conger and taupe actually, but we're also planning a trip up to Locker Line, where there is a good chance you'll get large common skate from the shore. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be using this to try and tackle a, you know, potentially £100 fish, because that'd just be daft. But what I am going to do is I will take this rod and I will use it, if for nothing else, catch dogfish, cod, anything else that's knocking around. I've had cod on this, biggest, only about £4.2 on this rod, but I did reel 2 dogfish up the side of a pier the other week on it. Now, as I said, I'm not going to tell you that this rod is a rough ground rod, because it's not. It's not. Will it cope with it? Yes. Will it cope with pretty much any fishing you throw at it, within reason? Yes, if you look after it, even though I've not looked after this. Is it worth 80 quid? Absolutely. Absolutely it's worth 80 quid. It's quite frankly, it's changed my opinion of Sonic. I think the next rod that I will be looking at, when I do decide to buy a new rod, I will most certainly be looking at the Sonic ZX range. I wouldn't have 6 months ago. I absolutely wouldn't have done that, if I'm honest. Anybody that knows me will tell you that I've never liked Sonics, but if they ask me now, yeah, I do, and it is because of this rod. It's a cracking all-round rod. It does exactly what it says on the tin, and for the money, it's really good. Anyway, I'm sure I'm going to get a slate in the comments section about this video, but you know, I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll try my best to reply to them. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you later.